One final thing, there were 682,479 ballots counted in Philadelphia, in Allegheny County, that there were no poll watchers allowed to watch. It's the job of the media to ask the question why, because all we are asking for is truth, transparency, and sunlight here. That is all we are asking for. And sadly, we are asking the questions many of you should.
But what this litany of lies means for the world that we live in now, hopefully it's finally exposed the degree of cover-up, the degree of corruption, the degree of watching the back of the criminal elite that the press, the media, the judiciary, chief constables, law enforcement, whether that's the DOJ, whether that's the FBI, whether that's MI5 and MI6 in the United Kingdom, etc. They've all been complicit, and they're all needing to be rendezvoused. What they're needing to be rendezvoused with is RICO, Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization Act 1970, which has a long reach not only in the United States, but therefore internationally. So you have anyone that's involved in media, including the press, the prostitutes, they're all going to be brought to task on this. Including in that is the 565 MPs in Westminster Parliament who have just renewed, I think it was on the 4th, was it the 4th of November? They've just reconfirmed the coronavirus legislation, which means apart from so there's 538 that confirmed, I think there was 18 that voted against it and 1 or 2 abstentions. So it just shows you that in the United Kingdom, therefore, we have a readily prepared list of everybody that has been involved in this corruption. So what this would mean is that warrants should be served on these people immediately, and in all expectations that's probably the way it's going to be. Evidently there are 6 chambers in London that have been notified and have helped prepare arrest warrants for these members of Parliament. So what I'm expecting now as we move forward, and if the words of Steve Pecinic are anything to go by, then arrests are imminent. We've got the Wiener laptop, we've got the Biden laptop, we've got all the other evidence that's been accumulating, and it's finally coming to a push where this will need to be revealed. And I know I did a video of it fairly recently saying, well, why wasn't the trigger pulled? Why haven't we seen evidence of all the allegations and all the substantive and corroborating information, not only in photographic form but in digital form and in written form, that has been the democratic New World Order, Zionist, Khazarian cabal drive for one world domination. Why haven't we seen that? Well, it could well be that it's all been stored and saved up. In effect, what's supposedly happened is that the ballots that have been used in the run-up to the election have, as we all knew, were being printed in China so that the Democrats can do what they've always done in the past when they wanted to steal an election, and that's stuff the ballot box. That was done quite successfully for Lyndon Baines Johnson in the 1948 Texas senatorial election against a guy called Coke Stevens. And if you want to look up the history of that, it's in a book, a very good book called The Ascent to Power. And that shows how they were then stuffing ballot boxes, and this is why they wanted the COVID pandemic to be all-embracing, so that the United States election would be predominantly postal and they could stuff the ballot boxes as they wished. So ask yourself this: if they were prepared to go to those lengths just to steal an election, then of what value do you really think the political class lays upon your life, your health and well-being? None whatsoever. So with that in mind, where does that lead us? Well, it leads us to a scenario now where hopefully the arrests can start to take place. And what that will mean is there will be a domino effect worldwide where everything that they've tried to do, everything where they've planned to actually collapse the government, with the aid and the sanction and the willingness of chief constables, heads of police divisions, the press. So they've all been complicit in this and will need to be dealt with in due course. I don't think this is going to go through the courts in a normal, should we say, previously 2020 type manner. I think it's probably going to be more of a military operation, because there are many members of the military, many members of the security forces who have seen this coming, have had enough of it and want to end it once and for all. And I think this could be the way to do it. So as I say, if you can't or haven't seen that clip, go onto infowars.com website or onto YouTube, pull up the clip of Owen Schroyer in the war room talking to Dr. Steve Pachinik, and I think that was last night on the 5th, and he explains that in effect the military made a sting operation against the stuffers of the ballot box, which in effect are the Democratic Party. And so what they did is they used a technology called QFR, and they placed a digital blockchain encodement on all the genuine ballots. So what that meant is that there were only, let's say, 10, for argument's sake, ballots. If there was any additional ones entered into the system, they would know about it and they could locate them. So it doesn't matter where these other ballots came from, which the Democrats have been deliberately altering and producing so that they could alter the count. It doesn't matter where they came from, they weren't part of the pool. And as they weren't part of the pool, they didn't go out through the United States Postal Service system, and therefore they can prove categorically, without it being just conjecture or hearsay or we think they've been rigging, they can actually prove that the ballots falsely have been introduced to change the count, which is a federal offence, and it carries a very long term in prison for the perpetrators and for all those who were working with the perpetrators. And that is the mainstream media and several media platforms. When Trump was broadcasting his statement that the polls had been rigged and the ballots had been falsified, these networks deliberately cut off what he was trying to say and basically accused him of spreading fake news. And so, as you can see, it's as wide as it is high. It all needs clearing out. So whether it's the Los Angeles Times, whether it's the Sunday Times, whether it's the Times in London, whether it's the Daily Mail, whether it's the Guardian, whether it's the Independent, whether it's the BBC, ITV, Sky News, Sky Channels, they all need clearing out. And the only way to do that is by having these people made accountable for the lies, the cover-up, the deceit, the editorial poison that they've been placing and pouring into people's heads worldwide for decades, but more importantly now. So we have them, we have a paper trail, we can bring this to a head, and what it will also mean as the good news is if they deliver on this statement by Steve Pachinik, then it will categorically prove that the COVID-19 hoax, the hoax pandemic, was manufactured, is manufactured, and has been done to injure you and financially ruin you in every manner possible. So if that's the case, and it's going to look very, very good very, very soon, these economic impact vouchers, which are described at the bottom of the description here, will be honoured, and more of you should, I think, sincerely consider looking at these impact vouchers, because the Trump administration now will make good on them all. Thanks for listening. Get ready for more videos and more interesting times. I hope to be back in the UK very soon. Peter.
Ordinary people, what's going to change? How is it going to become easier to live
This is
in different
all
ways?
This is all part of Nasara and Jassara for us in Europe. Nasara is national, which is over in America. Jassara is global. And every country has signed up to this. And there will be a redistribution of wealth. There will be forgiveness of debt, which is completely corrupt because of the debt system is completely wrong. You know, they print money without any backing whatsoever, and they enslave everybody to debt. And it's the biggest scam in history. And to bring down there was 3 pillars that held that whole thing together of the deep state and the cabal. You had the City of London, the monarchy, Queen. She was one pillar. You had the Vatican and the Phoenicians, and then you had the Federal Reserve and Washington, D.C. D.C. stands for District of Columbia. So a completely independent state, same as City of London is independent from everything else in the UK, and same as Vatican's its own city. So there are 3 independent pillars that were holding everything together. So Donald Trump took the Federal Reserve, which was a private company, and backed it into the Treasury so that they had control of it. So it became part of the US government rather than an independent company that was just printing money. And it was, so he took control of that. He also took control of the Vatican, emptied the Vatican, and arrested everybody in there, and then took out the gold, the cash, and also all the documentation that has securely been taken to the United States. And then for those of you in London who know that Buckingham Palace from that day forward has been empty.
Yeah.
And you don't leave a palace like that empty just for a common cold. You obviously know an awful lot more. And I also heard last weekend, I think it was, that the Queen announced that she was going to abdicate. That was in the Daily Express.
Is she gone?
I'll have to wait and see on that one. I've heard conspiracy theories. I'm actually looking for some new conspiracy theories because most of the old ones have come true already.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so what will happen with all the money? What's going to happen with all the gold? Because apparently under the Vatican, there were miles and miles and miles of gold. So are they going to distribute it to all of us? Are we all going to get...
First of all, it's going to be distributed worldwide to back the currency. So the currencies are backed by gold. There will be a process of revaluation so that the currencies will value up at the $1 will probably equal £1, will equal €1, will equal one of each currency around the world. So you do away with the trade wars that have been created by the deep state and the cabals. You know, all of this was man created. You get back to 1-to-1 around the world, and then you find that Africa becomes a wealthy place again, because the natural resource in Africa and South America is so great, and yet it's been robbed blind by corrupt organizations such as the United Kingdom, France, Belgium, Holland, etc. These are all countries that have raped these countries blind, in America as well. That is changing. The shift is happening. We're moving into a great awakening right now. So we'll see a lot of change with Nasara and Jassara. And how it was announced, I don't know. How it's already started to be phased in. We're starting to see things happen. The transition is happening. In England, they give it the name furlough payments. So they're starting to put money out. And I'll tell you right now, if Trump had lost this, the corrupt evil side would have wanted that money back with interest.
We'd be gone, wouldn't we?
Yep.
That law got in originally.
There's no chance of Trump losing this. Thank God. Yeah. No chance at all.
So again, sorry, Charlie. So coming back to, as I say, people that have lost everything. I know that my husband gets a furlough from the duty free. I mean, they make billions and billions. And over the years, I've seen him come home with less money. It's unbelievable. So he gets something. But at the end of all of this, one thing I've noticed is the lottery. They have been given millions and millions of pounds for, like myself, for artists and for humanitarian things like that. But what about these people that have lost everything? Are they going to be compensated? Are they going to have better lives? Is it going to become, like I said about these friends of mine that are trying to run something so good and so positive, and yet they've lost, they can't do it because of the lockdowns. So will they be compensated? Are their lives going to get easier?
The way that I see it from the information that I've gathered is that if you consider the amount of tax that they have paid in their lives that has been completely corrupt, and if you consider the amount of money they have been traded for as a commodity without their knowledge, I understand that we'll be getting that back as compensation. At what value yet? I don't know.
Right.
But I know that we will all be in a far better financial position than we've ever been in before.
Good. Well, that's what we need to hear, because I want to give out some good news. And I've seen people collapsing.
All the powers that he's got to expose evil, because this isn't a personal battle between Biden and Trump. This is between good and evil.
Yes.
That's how I see it. I might be wrong, but that's how I see it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful answer. God is love, and it's the battle of God, evil against good against evil. I was saying love. I had a massive vision after 9/11, and I was never into this stuff as much as that, my whole culture now. And I remember seeing,
of course,
they're pushing Christmas everywhere. They're pushing the greedy Christmas, you know what I mean? Where people are they're gonna think they're going to die, so they're gonna go out there and spend what's left of their money. They're gonna stand in the cold with being by Christmas.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I don't think it will take that long. I think the pack of cards will fall very quickly the minute you start exposing one by one, and that they'll start first thing this morning in America with court cases pointing out, because they've got so much evidence you couldn't make it up. I mean, the damning evidence is unbelievable. But the whole idea of this was to expose the mainstream media as to how corrupt they are. That's why it was allowed to go this far. Because the mainstream media all jumped on and all published it, and it's not true. It's a lie. So Donald Trump was exposing them exactly for what they are.
You see, that's the thing. It's the progression of me trying to get it very wrong.
You're absolutely spot on right. Our immune systems can look after ourselves if we look after them. And when you should have a chat with Dr. Robert Young.
Yes, I'm in touch with Robert Young.
He's an amazing man. Amazing man.
Thank you. I want to come back to the mainstream media. So my point that I was making was that they wouldn't put on anything that didn't involve drugs. I'm talking about the one show, which is a community. It's going to work.
Sorry? I've got something.
The progression of the broadcasts.
What, the emergency broadcast?
Yes.
The emergency broadcast has already been recorded, and when Trump is ready, that will go out worldwide. And I don't know when that will be, but he'll be in total control of that. And one of the biggest things I've learned, Lauren, on this journey is that he's doing it absolutely spot on, right on timing. As much as I wanted it all done yesterday, we all want it done as quickly as possible, he's making sure there's no mistakes. Right. So the broadcast itself has been pre-recorded, is ready to run, and when he's ready to release it, it will be released.
Okay, and so the broadcasts are going to show, they're going to be on all the mainstream, so nobody can miss them because they're going to be on all the mainstream.
That's how I understand it.
This is how you understand it. And it's going to be exposing everything. And it'll be like Nuremberg style trials where people will actually be trialed in front of the human race.
Yeah.
We're saying that this could happen by the end of the year. We're going to lose a huge amount of people. How are they going to cope? I mean, for the
a CNN update of the Pennsylvania elections in live time.
What you're going to notice is that Pennsylvania, which you can see here, Trump and Biden, Trump was leading. He had 1,690,589 votes. Biden had 1,252,537 votes. Trump was well in the lead. I'm going to let this video.
All right, you guys, remember to support us here. Those of you who should support us, go to PayPal at themullings@gmail.com. I'd like to pray. Heavenly Father God, we pray. Thank you for this day. Thank you so much to the international authorities, Donald Trump. Donald Trump, I want to put a hedge of protection around all that is good globally and all that is not good. Send the angels to protect Donald Trump, the Army, the Navy, the military, the Marines, Donald Trump, and all that is good globally. Thank you to each and every one of you for your support to us here, for praying for us here. Thank you to the angels and the gods for giving me the strength to write. You guys write. Suffer little children to come unto me, to be like a child. Write the way you are guided to write. So I want to thank the powers that be that gave me the strength last night to write from my heart to the entities globally to get some other things remedied for all of us globally. Now, so I just want to say thank you. All right. So those of you in need of the GSA bonds, 1099 OID, for child support cases, mortgages, foreclosures, tickets, citations, utilities, auto loans, student loans, warrants, and for those of you having to see an agent doing business, parole officer, as well as those of you in for nonviolent offenses, you can email us at themullings@gmail.com for the GSA bonds to set off matters and the 1099 OID to get back the finances they claimed you owed. All right, let's get back to this, you guys. There was something else I wanted to show you briefly, if I can get an opportunity. So a huge thank you to the powers that be that gave me, kept me up until this was sent off and stuff, for all of us to be free in every area of what we're dealing with currently. Yeah, and I just want to say thank you for that. All right.
Video finish, and then at the end I'm going to pause it. And I want you to remember this number: 1,690 for Trump, 1,252 for Biden, and then we're going to do some math.
And that would push, and again, if you come at this from a Republican perspective, I did Joe Biden's math to get him up. Donald Trump's leading here. He's leading here. He's leading here. We expect him to win here. That's his. This one's interesting. We expect him to get this. And these normally would be Trump states out here. And Alaska. So, again, we're open to being surprised. But if it plays out in a traditional map, that's where we're going to be. That's where we'll be as we go to the West Coast, somewhere in that ballpark. This is not an exact science, but somewhere in that ballpark.
So here we go. We've had 30 seconds of updates. Pennsylvania is in. But look, Trump has lost 19,950 votes. Now here's the thing. Did a little work here, and I want you to see this in Photoshop. At the beginning of the clip, Trump has 1,690,000. The update comes, Trump is up 440,000 votes. Trump loses 19,958, but guess what? Biden gains those votes. Take a look at Biden. 1,252,000 votes to 1,272,000 votes. If this doesn't raise a red flag for the judiciaries of Pennsylvania, we know this happened in Nevada. There's other videos. Who's to say this hasn't happened all over the world? You know, scorecard doesn't have to take over every county in a state. It just has to help Biden lose by 3% less in the state so they can backpack the ballots at the end. Trump has won this election. This has to be called into question. We want Congress and the FBI to mount a full investigation, and we will riot in the streets if they don't. We cannot allow the Democrats to tear down this nation again. Listen to me. If they win this election corruptly like this, using hammer and scorecard, they will never lose again. Pass on this video. We may have to get out and protest. Trust the plan. Work with your local representatives. Call, share this video. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot let this great America fall to the deep state.
Trump win validated by quantum blockchain system recount of votes, November 8, 2020. This is from before it's news. A recount of voting ballots nationwide was being done by elite units of the National Guard by early Sunday morning, the 8th of November. To prevent fraud, officials' ballots had been printed with an invisible, unbreakable code, watermarked and registered on a quantum blockchain system. As of this writing, in 5 states, 14 million ballots had been put through a laser scanner, 78% of which failed because there was no watermark to verify the ballot. Of those that failed, 100% had checked for Biden. An initial test showed that according to watermarks on validated ballots fed into the quantum computer, Trump won re-election by 80% of the legal ballot cast. The final validated vote tallied in that test, Trump 73.5 million votes to Biden's 25.9 million votes. Trump 73.5 million votes to Biden's 25.9 million votes. Trump had 73.5 million, you guys, votes to Biden's 25.9 million. And that didn't even account for Trump's votes that people observed being tossed and never accounted for. Interesting enough, those figures correspond with the two men's Twitter accounts. Trump had 88.8 million followers to Biden's 16.6 million. Using the infrared equipment that read which ballots were real or fake, the elite National Guardsmen had been deployed to the 12 targeted states of Alabama, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Colorado, Texas, Wisconsin, Tennessee, Washington, Virginia, Delaware, Illinois, and Kentucky. In all nationwide, over 500 National Guardsmen were on guard over all ballot counting units. There was much more to the tests for fraudulent voting. In addition to the watermark, these official ballots also contained ink made of corn, which created an electronic radiation circuit ID that could trace the location of that ballot through GPS transmission. In other words, they could trace if the ballot was filled out by the person named on the ballot. The Trump team would be filing a number of lawsuits on Monday, the 9th of November. Monday, November 9th. They had been preparing for this for a long time under an election fraud investigation called Project Veritas. Judicial Watch. Our new study shows that 1.8 excess of ghost voters in 353 counties across 29 states. The data highlights the recklessness of mailing blindly ballots applications to voter registration lists. All right, you guys, remember to support us here. I'm just going to make an affidavit. Go to paypal@themillennials@gmail.com. Remember to subscribe to the new channel, Noble L II, and the old channel, Noble L. Attention, Office of Interpol, International Criminal World Court, the Army, the Navy, the military, the Marines, all that is good globally. The Federal Bureau of Investigations head Donald Trump. Jay Clayton doing business as Securities and Exchange Commission. Joseph Otting doing business as the Office of Comptroller of Currency head. Also Louis DeJoy doing business as Postmaster General. Also the Universal Postal Union heads and the United States Federal Trade Commission, Clearinghouse Department, and the Antitrust Department. I come to you in good faith in one's proper person as a living flesh and blood sentient being, Suri Jurisuri heir to the world's vast estate, Moabite Queen, Rubus Red Rose, Angel in Latin, Reubenite Tribe Chief, American Indian, Allodial Title Moorish American National, I stand my ground. I come to you in good faith in one's proper person as a living flesh and blood sentient being. I stand my ground. I command, order, and demand this night. Go now and find the lady that wrote to us yesterday, right? For her $1,000+ electric bill. Speak to the utility companies across the globe that the people are reporting to us that due to this lockdown, they have lost their income and are unable to now meet the utilities, electricity, and what have you. In addition to that, see to it now that they have all set off, use the Nasera Jacera and their accounts, their estates to set off all instantly. Also, the gentleman that wrote to us in the comment section regarding his apartment that he's rented, that he just paid rent for, go now and speak to the landlord and have the landlord provide for that family 1 week stay at a hotel somewhere while they get rid of the mold in the apartment instead of evicting them so they can remain after they've paid their rent, right? Go and remedy that situation on our behalf. Now, also, one other person written to us about an IRS debt that was purported a fictitious debt, and they were subjected to wage garnishment, and which led to their being homeless. Go now and speak to the IRS agent, Stephen Mnuchin, and all involved in that matter, and set off that matter as well. And then do for him the 1099 OID for each of them and send them instantaneously the taxes from these purported debts for all of us globally. Do that now, do that now. And I want to thank you for what you sent to us this night because we really, really appreciate it, right? It'll help us to at least get some of the materials. So we want to thank you for that. Um, Continue to send more so that we can continue to do our work. And then send the thank you to Sharina that you sent to us yesterday from the Jamaica Public Service. Have the agent come out this morning to lift up the live wire so the children are protected, right? Do that for us now. Thank you in advance for your speedy response to this matter and just continue to send it directly to the people's bank accounts. Those who don't have bank accounts, just go door to door and give it to them in their hands or have agents doing business as gods and angels give it to them on their travels, right? Automatically and send them the foods that they need for their babies and their families. Do that now. Toko no latkana chiki tararo takana no ko nina na kai e. And thank you to the agents that we were able to write to last night. Oh, thank you. All right, so do that now. Thank you in advance for your speedy response to this matter by Reubenite Tribe Chief, American Indian, Olori Tuttle Morse, American National, Noble Honorable Ange L. Inadi Alphabet L. Reubenite Tribe Chief, UCC 1-308, all rights reserved without recourse. I stand by the Book of Ruth by my deceased Oregon harvested husband and myself, Jackson. Do that now, and thank you to the powers that be for sharing all this stuff with us this night. And again, thank you to all our kings and queens here, right? That help me when I can't see to read or I'm tired out, right? We got a lot of stuff here, you guys, and I have to be able to decipher through it to see what's useful to help us get through this time, basically. So you guys go now. You can look up all those videos on your own and watch them in their entirety. Like, share, subscribe. You guys have yourself a great day. Remember to support us here. We do ask for $1 per video. You guys can send it as much as you're able to send. We really greatly appreciate it because it helps us out here at themullings@gmail.com. On PayPal for the GSA bonds, you can write to us for that. All right, like, share, subscribe. You guys have yourself a great day. And subscribe to the Noble L II channel. And remember, faith without works is dead. Do unto others as you have others do unto you. It is the law, Matthew 7:12. Harm no man and let no man harm you. Put God first and all good things will come after. Put God first and all good things will come after. Put God first and all good things will come after. Have a great day.